Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about the Trecena of Kan. Now, Kan can represent wisdom. Kan can represent power. Kan can represent teachers. It can represent, the transmission of wisdom from our teachers that empowers us. Also, we can see it representing the lightning in the blood, the kayapa, what we might see as ki or Tz'i or kundalini energy. This is kind of like the similarities that are there. And it kind of, for me, represents all of those things all together. Okay, now my experience is that when we engage with our ki, then it's almost like every time that we allow the energy to flow through subtle channels, there's a certain wisdom that comes to us. It's not something which is necessarily directly heard. It's something which, kind of like my experience of working with energy is that all of a sudden you just have like epiphanies as you do it. And so, this is a time when that may be the case. It's a time to find new wisdom, a time to maybe find new teachers. It's a time for the re-empowerment of those around us through the sharing of our wisdom, maybe finding a new way to share our wisdom. Okay? And so on this day, Hun Kan, the 20th of August 2025, this is a great day to begin a new wisdom project, for want of better words, a new form of learning, a new form of empowerment. As I said, maybe possibly even finding a new teacher or something along that kind of line. And so these are things that can sort of like come out on that day. Now that one being birth and beginnings, as I say, this is why I was talking about like a new path of wisdom, a new path of empowerment to begin that kind of process. But there's also something within that suggests that one, the newborn, the little seed that needs a little bit of tending, is also kind of like there's a little bit of uncertainty there. Maybe we need some advice. Maybe if we're feeling disempowered or under illusion, we might seek the advice of a teacher who can help us to see through the illusion and help to re-empower us. So all of these things would be good ideas for activities on the day Hun Kan. From Hun Kan, on the 21st of August, we will then go into Kame. So, Kame, the Nawal of death and transformation. The Nawal of the ancestors, and here seen with the number 2 representing polarities and dualities. And I like to think of this as being it's a 1 or a 0. It's, kind of like left or right. There's not much in between, and it can be the stark contrast between, kind of like death representing facing our fears. And so are we going to face our fears or are we going to run away? Part of that empowerment that comes in this Trecena of Kan may well come through facing some fears, overcoming them, stepping up. And Kame kind of gives us that exact opportunity. Right, are we going to face it or are we going to run away? Do we have the strength? Do we have the power? Do we have the wisdom to do this right now? Now we can also see that Kame can represent the ancestors. And here we might see, kind of like that duality come in. Is this, kind of like ancestral wisdom something which will help me, something which will empower me? Or is it that one? Okay, maybe it's about making choices between different ancestral paths, different sets of ancestral wisdom. Now, we can also see the number 2 representing self-sacrifice and relationships, and particularly within relationships, maybe Kame might be a day on which we might face some fears within our relationships, make some choices in order to overcome things that we might fear and transform it. Because for me, Kame is all about moving up to the next level with things. And we can't move up to the next level if we stay stuck where we were. And maybe it's that new wisdom, that new energy that comes in this Trecena of Kan that helps us to face whatever fear we might have within our relationship and transform it to the next level. After 2 Kame comes 3 Kech, and that's going to come on the 22nd of August. And so 3 Kech, well, Kech, the wilderness, the mountain place, the tree place, the place of the natural world where we can tap in to that understanding of nature, that connection with the birds, the trees, the rocks, that strengthens us, strengthens our hearts, strengthens our energy. And here, when we see it with the number 3, so here I am outside in this beautiful, lush, green wilderness kind of place, but that number 3 keeps us at home. That number 3 takes us back inside. Now, Kech can also represent our connection with the spiritual guides, our connection with spiritual leadership. And that number 3 can sometimes represent, it's like trying to do things outside doesn't always work. It's like we got to look inside. And so the one phrase that comes up is kind of like, connecting what you've got going on in here, what you've got in your heart with the wilderness in order to find that spiritual leader within. This could be a very, very strong message because, of course, this perhaps is the ultimate empowerment that we might find in that Trecena of Kan, is that it's really in here where we've got to find our guidance. It's in here where we've got to find our strength. And so the 3 days I often see as being days of contemplation, days of meditation, days of going within. And, if we're maybe take a walk in the wilderness, but a solo walk, a walk where we can contemplate, where we can meditate, where we can draw that strength and find that strength within us. Find that leader, that guide within us in order to help and empower others around us. From 3 Kech, we then move into 4 Anil on the 23rd of August. Now, Anil, the Nawal of ripening, the Nawal of yellowing, the Nawal of that corn at its abundant yellow colour, the Nawal of receiving the fruits of our labour, happy, joyful, abundant. And here we see it with the number 4 representing the physical world, representing this down-to-earth, grounded reality. Now, Anil days are days which I consider to be, on the whole, pretty fortunate days. As I said, if we think about it as the day on which our harvest is finally matured, on which we receive, kind of like for all the energy that we've put into growing our crop, we finally receive something back for it. Of course, we're going to be joyful. And of course, what we receive back is our abundance. And here, when we see it into the physical, when we see it into that grounded state of reality, perhaps that just makes it even more important on that day. It's about, like I say, physically receiving the fruits of our labour, and perhaps this is something that comes to us when we engage with our wisdom, when we engage with our power. So, the physical materialization of the fruits of our labour. It's a great day to, kind of like bring something to its fruition, to finish something off in order for it to truly shine. Now, it may be, kind of like there's another stage to it. Maybe there's a polishing stage to it because that 4, it does exactly what it says on the tin, as they say, It's grounded, it's down to earth. It can go higher, it can get bigger. But this is the first sign that we get that the physical abundance is drawing close, that it's nearly time to take the harvest. From 4 Anil, on the 24th of August, we then go to 5 Toch. So the number 5 representing the hand with which we do the work, and Toch representing the fire where we do the work. Both of them have this working kind of thing, this service. Toch making our service in order to pay off our debts. Toch making our fire, making our offerings in order to pay back for what we've received. And here with the number 5 also representing that payment, we can see that this could be a day of hard work. This could be a day of, I want to say hard ceremony. I don't know why I want to say hard ceremony. I mean, ceremony is often an enjoyable thing, I think, making our offerings. But here it's, kind of like really we're going to have to work on this. Really we're going to have to put our effort into being of service, putting our effort into making our offerings. These are really important things to be doing on the day 5 Toch. And naturally it's coming directly after that 4 Anil. So it's like we receive the physical abundance from 4 Anil. And then on 5 Toch, we have the opportunity to give something back, to make that offering, to give thanks for what we've received. And so it's a great opportunity to put your energy, to put your physical effort into paying back for what you've received, into doing your service. And so an act of physical service, an act of getting out there and getting your hands dirty, as it were, in order to balance the books, in order to show your appreciation for what you've received. So, especially in this time where we're celebrating wisdom, empowerment and teachers, it's a great time, 5 Toch, to be making an offering, giving something back to your teachers. From 5 Toch, we then move into 6 Tz'i, and this will fall on the 25th of August. So Tz'i, the Nawal of faith and loyalty and justice and law, the Nawal of unconditional love, combined with the number 6, representing the family, representing ultimate stability. And so there's a lot of things in there that we could kind of see, kind of like faith in the family, justice for the family. These are 2 that immediately come to mind. Now, Tz'i can also be seen as the spiritual guide. It's the guide on the path. And the dog, it sniffs out the way ahead. It understands the way. This is why it's our guide, but it's also our companion. It's also our protector. And so there are many, many aspects to Tz'i as to why it might be our loyal, loving, faithful, best friend, as it were, looking after us on our journey. But of course those senses that it has also are what tempt it away from it. And sometimes as we've gone through our lives, we get tempted away by our vices. Now, that 6 representing stability, that 6 representing the family. And of course, here we are in this Trecena of Kan. Now, one of the things about Kan is that it can represent illusions. It can represent seduction in particular. Now, whether that is the seduction in what we could call kind of like the most usual use of the word, or whether it might be the seduction that comes from believing the hype, the seduction that comes from, kind of like just buying into the illusion. Whether that's an illusion from somebody, whether that's an illusion from governments, or whether that's an illusion for whatever it might be. And sometimes we fall for it. And sometimes we fall for it because we want to fall for it, because we like it, because we know that it's going to feel nice or taste nice or something like that. It triggers our vices. And yet still it's an illusion. Kind of like sometimes we get seduced by something And then, kind of like when we actually kind of like get there, we realize that it's not quite what we thought it was. Well, on this day 6 Tz'i, I could see that about, bringing stability to those things, calling on the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth to help us to use our faith, to use our loyalty, to use our unconditional love, to stay on the path, to overcome the temptations that we find. Now, with the 6 representing family, maybe it's our family that can help us to do that. And of course, the ability to overcome our temptations, will surely be something which is also empowering. And so another form of empowerment, another form of wisdom to come through, to call on the sky and the earth, to bring into the physical realm our faith, our loyalty, our strength, our dedication, as it were, to overcome whatever vices we might have. From 6 Tz'i, on the 26th of August, we will then move into 7 Bats. So Bats being the Nawal of creativity, the Nawal of weaving. Bats being the shuttle which moves backwards and forwards on the loom, bringing that weaving together, bringing the creation together, bringing the beauty together. And here with the number 7 representing finality, representing endings, also representing choices. So 7 Bats, the end of the creation, the end of the project. So if you have a creative project, this would be a great day to finish it up. And, as they say, kind of like every new beginning is another beginning's end, as it were. We can see this, kind of like we're finishing our creation. So what are we going to create now? Hey, we finished that one off. Look, it's a masterpiece. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Now, what are we going to create? We're going to go into a 40-day period, from 7 Bats to 1 Bats to 8 Bats, the old creation, going into the new creation, going into the weaving of the creations together. Okay? And so it's a great day for finishing off, for terminating any particular creative project that you might have, kind of like to put the last point after at the end of the sentence, to cross the T's, to dot the I's, to make sure that everything is done and everything is ready. 7 Bats is a wonderful day to be doing that, and to be looking into the future and saying, okay, what beauty do I choose to bring into the world next? From 7 Bats, we're then going into 8 and that's going to fall on the 27th of August. So 8 the Nawal of the journey, the Nawal of the path. It represents our journey in life. They're usually good days to travel. And the 8th day representing bringing it all together. The beginning and the end. The circle kind of like, or coming full circle on something, as it were. The wholeness, representing the wholeness of the journey in this case. And perhaps we could see it as representing the journey on all levels. Mental, physical, emotional and spiritual. All coming together in one point. That 8 is a great day for ceremony. It's a great day for celebration. And as we continue this Trecena of Kan, this Trecena of empowerment, this Trecena of wisdom, it may be a celebration of all the experiences that we've had that have helped us to gain wisdom. It might be a celebration of all the teachers that we've met on our path that have helped us to advance in those levels, because this day of ceremony, to give thanks for the path, to give thanks for the opening of the way for us, to give thanks for our freedom of movement, to give thanks for the wisdom that we encounter on our path. These are wonderful things to be doing on that day 8 and of course, if you've got a journey to make, that's also a wonderful day for it. So then on the 28th of August, we will move into the day 9 Ach. So, again, I really like this day. There's lots of days where, there's these combinations that are particularly special or particularly meaningful for me anyway, my perspective. This is my perspective on it. And we have Ach representing the home, but Ach can also represent kind of the father energy within the home. It's a very masculine energy. The prefix of Ach within Mayan epigraphy can be seen as meaning he of. And so, Ach, he of the day, Ach ich, he of the bow, Ach pitz, or Ach Tz'i, he of the words. Okay, and so we can see a particularly masculine essence to the day Ach. It's this staff, it's this authority. And it is the one that keeps authority within our homes, within our communities, that, kind of like sometimes brings down the staff to say, nope, we're not doing it like that, this is the way we're going to do it. And Ach has that father-like energy to it. But here it's combined with the number 9. And the number 9, of course, being the number which represents life itself, but also the number which represents the feminine. And so you've got this masculine day with a feminine number, which I believe brings this really, really beautiful balance to it. Firstly, of course, in this time of empowerment, this Trecena of Kan, it is something which is bringing empowerment and leadership to the feminine. But we can also see that feminine essence bringing compassion to the authority of the Ach. So it should be a great day to enhance female leadership in particular. We can also see if Ach is representing bringing harmony into our home and harmony into our community, and the 9 representing life, it's a strong and independent number, and it's about stepping forwards independently in order to bring life and balance to our communities. So a great day to step forward and say what you need to say in order to bring balance into your home, in order to bring balance into your community, and doing it with compassion, doing it independently, doing it with strength. From 9 Ach, we'll then move into 10 Ish, and 10 Ish is going to fall on the 29th of August. So, Ish, the Nawal of the mother. Ish, well, I talked about Ach meaning he of. Ish we see as a prefix that means she of. You will find it in the names of deities such as Ish Cacao or Ishmukane. You also find it, in front of these goddesses of the field, Ishtoch and Ishkanil. And we see that there's a very feminine energy to Ish, representing what we might describe as being the Mother Earth, or, might be seen here as being the heart of the earth, the connection with the heart of the earth. It's the connection with the sacred sites, with the altars and with the shrines. Ish is also the one who offers, who makes their prayers in order to receive the needs of their family. So we go to the altars, we go to the shrines, we make our offering, we make our payment in order to bring into the world the needs of our families. Now, of course, this is certainly something which comes to us from our teachers. This is certainly something which comes to us through wisdom and through empowerment. And here we see Ish connected with the number 10, representing family, representing community. And so when we see the community coming together in order to make offerings at the altars, to make their ceremonies, to call for what they need from the Mother Earth. It's a great day for community ceremony. It's a great day to create those bonds and come together to understand, kind of like how we can, let's say, work on each other's behalf to help bring that abundance into the world and support our community through our connection with Mother Earth. Now, another thing that we could see on that day is the idea that if Ish represents our connection to the earth, and and the 10 represents the community, then what better way, if we're not making our ceremony, what better way could we honour Mother Earth than organising a clean-up or doing some local environmental project with our community, the community coming together in order to do that. So 10 Ish might be a great day for that as well. From 10 Ish, we then move into 11 Tz'ikin, and 11 Tz'ikin is going to fall on the 30th of August. So, Tz'ikin representing the birds. Hopefully you can hear those birdies singing around me right now. They all started singing. And then the number 11. And the number 11, see it kind of like moving in many different ways. Now that number 11 can bring great creativity because it moves in ways that we wouldn't expect. It moves in novel ways. It takes paths that don't necessarily always seem to connect, or not in a logical way, but that's where innovation, that's where creativity comes from. And when we have an 11 day, then this is often something which is very much, comes from our intuition, comes from our feeling. I feel that I have to go that way. We wake up, we got an idea in our head, we got to follow it. That's what the 11 can bring. Now, when we connect that with the vision, then, kind of like maybe it's waking up with a vision. Maybe it's waking up and knowing where we've got to go. But there is something else to this day. Tz'ikin is the Nawal of the vision, but one of its shadows can be distraction. And when we pair it with that number 11, that can be a very, very persuasive distraction. Now here we are in this Trecena of Kan, and talking about empowerment, talking about wisdom, and talking about seduction and illusions, right? And here, with that 11 Tz'ikin, maybe this is also, maybe there's a test in there. Are we staying true to our vision? When we wake up and we get that, we get a particular distraction, and that distraction might be very, very persuading. Is it taking our focus away from a wisdom path? Is it taking our focus off, kind of like our empowerment? And perhaps these are something to look at. Because if that 11 is so strong and powerful, and it's sort of like showing us, like we wake up and we got this vision in our head, it might be very, very tempting to follow that vision. And maybe that vision may even bring us some new kind of creativity. But I think there's something in there where we got to look at it and say, right, okay, am I staying on target? Am I staying focused on where it is that I think or want to be going? Or am I being distracted away from my true path? From 11 Tz'ikin, we then move into 12 Ajmak, and that's going to fall on the 31st of August. So Ajmak, the Nawal of forgiveness. Ajmak, the Nawal of the human being. Ajmak, the Nawal of acceptance. And here we see it with the number 12, a high number, a very high number. The 12 can be seen as bundling together all of our life experience, bringing it together in one volume, in one, kind of like bundle. And here with Ajmak, it's our life experience about acceptance, our life experience about forgiveness, our life experience about human beings, both ourselves and others. And we're coming towards the end of the Kan Trecena. We're coming towards the end of the time of empowerment, the time of wisdom, the time of overcoming the illusions. And here, with that 12 Ajmak, we can see what an important day this is, because this is the acceptance of human behavior. And humans will be humans, won't we? You know, kind of like, this is just the way we are. We don't necessarily mean all the things that happen or all the things that we do. Sometimes we would have done something differently. But as we go through life, we build up our life experience and we understand, look, I accept this person for exactly who they are. I know they are not necessarily the person that I would want to give this highly specialized task to, because that's not their area. So my experience says, let's not do that with this person, because otherwise we may end up with an error. We may end up having to, kind of like feeling bad about something. So it's using our experience to understand exactly what each other are capable of. It's also using our experience to understand that we don't want to carry those burdens of guilt, blame or shame. Using our life experience to forgive. So it's a high number. So, kind of like maybe it is a day on which some things that will happen that we're, kind of like we might have to take a deep breath when we kind of like see, hear, or experience them. But we also have to kind of like let go of it and move on. Perhaps there's also something within this Trecena of wisdom that says, kind of like there's certain bits where, kind of like we got to focus on that wisdom and that power that's growing within us, rather than focusing on kind of like trying to, let's say, correct others. Let them get on with what they're doing, let us get on with what we're doing, accept it and move on. And then finally, on the 1st of September, we move into 13 Noach. What a special day. So, Noach, the Nawal of intellect, the Nawal of knowledge, and here connected with the number 13. The number 13 representing the ancestors, the number 13 representing the spirit realm. Okay, so this could be a wonderful day to receive ancestral teaching, to receive ancestral messages. The number 13 bringing the empowerment of the joints of the body. That place where the body lightning that I was talking about when I was talking about Kan, this is where it gathers. And when it gathers, it allows us to connect with spirit, to connect with the ancestors, to connect with the other world. So high is a powerful number. Now, we then have it connected with the Nawal Noach. And Noach very much representing knowledge, information, our minds, and solving problems. It's a great day for a divination. Often we'll see kind of like, we want to get an answer, ask for it on a Noach day. Why? Because, kind of like this is the day when the mind can interface, as it were, when we can work things out, when we come up with a solution. Now here, with that 13, it's like the information is, well, okay, to use the term of our world right now, it's like a direct download of information from spirit or from the ancestors. So any form of divination should go particularly well. Now, we are at the end of the Kan Trecena. We are at the end of the Trecena of wisdom empowerment, the Trecena that represents teachers and that kind of thing. And here we are receiving the knowledge, receiving the information direct from the ancestors. What a kind of like grand finale for this Trecena to come to. So, if you have the opportunity, as I said, perhaps the Kan Trecena is about new teachers. Perhaps it's a new opportunity for wisdom. It would seem that the day 13 Noch would be a day when that might come through loud and clear. A day when, kind of, let's say, the transmission from the ancestors may be extremely strong and help you to resolve whatever problems or issues there might be. So, I hope that has been interesting to you, and I look forward to seeing you again in 13 days' time for the Trecena of Tihash. Thank you.